All right, everyone. Welcome to the Comic Panel, your Fairbanks radio show for all things comic-related news and media. I'm Taylon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And today, we are covering Wanted. And it is written by Mark Millar and penciled and inked by J.G. Jones. Not to be confused with J.G. Wentworth. And some other folks for like the covers. Bongatone's Paul Mounts did the colors. And then flashback sequences, pages 6 to 10 of Wanted number 6 specifically, were penciled and inked by Dick Giordano. And then the original editions of Wanted issues 1 to 6 were lettered by Dreamers Designs Robin Spihar, Dennis Heisler, and Mark Roslin. And then for alternate editions, the book design was by Jason Medley and cover art by J.G. Jones. And so, Jake, you picked this book. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you picked it and give us a summary?
All right. So, 15 years ago now, the movie adaptation of Wanted came out, and I saw it and I liked it. And this is before I realized it had a comic that was based off of. Turns out this was a very loose adaptation of that. And instead of being, the movie is about like a secret organization of weavers turned assassins that listen to a loom that tells them who to kill.
Oh.
The comic book is 5 different families of villains got together to either defeat superheroes. So there are no more heroes, and now they operate and control the world in secret.
As of 1986, right?
1986, yes. Which is, pretty different.
There's no loom. What are you talking about?
There is no loom.
There's no Angelina Jolie. I don't know where they got that from. There is no Angelina Jolie. Just a weird, not Halle Berry, not Catwoman.
Her name's Fox.
Her name is Fox.
They make a reference. They're like, I stole her away from the dark. Or the greatest detective.
Yeah, a lot of legally distinct sideways references to characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, the story of Wanted takes up the son of the world's greatest assassin, who was just named the Killer, has grown up in early 2000s as sort of a, salaried employee, hates his life, has a girlfriend that cheats on him, is a vegan but also eats fish. I don't know why that stuck out to me so much, but it did.
Pescatarian or something.
Doesn't matter at all.
Okay, no, yeah, the whole setup is just he constantly bemoans that he's a mommy's boy. He's raised by a single mother. Never stood up for myself.
How terrible.
How could my father do this to me? And he doesn't know who his father is, of course. He thinks his father was an airline pilot, is what his mom said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then his dad, the greatest supervillain assassin ever, dies, gets murdered in an ambush attack.
You see any similarities between the last book we read? Just point that out there.
People like cheap twists. It's not even that's not even a statement on this book yet. But no, there's a kind of cliche twist, right? Dad dies, this great supervillain, never knew it, and then the son gets contacted. If you want all the riches, you got to become super. Get into super debauchery.
A super assassin, which seems like a big condition, but I guess not that big.
They're it's in you genetically. You can shoot this gun without any training, which is not how it works. But okay.
Which made me think of the movie, and I was like, I don't think he was able to shoot the flies. But I don't know if
Well,
that's actually
it was one fly, and it was still shooting the wings off it, but at least I think it was. I don't know. Again, like, they took that one scene, and I think after that, there's, like, nothing else except for the, like, turning on the supervillain organization.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the only, and that's doesn't happen the same way either, because it can't.
It kind of feels like they were doing like a Fight Club kind of thing at the beginning. They were trying to, at least.
Oh God, what if Fight Club come out? Hold on.
I mean, that
Before this.
I would think makes sense.
This came out in like 2003.
This
Are you
came out
talking
in
about the
2003.
movie or the book?
The book came out. The first issue came out in November 2003, and it ran until December 2005.
Wow. Did we read all of it?
Oh yeah, this is all of it. Like, there might be like other spin-offs they made, but this is like the Wanted story.
Okay.
So I guess the story pretty much just follows him, like, giving in to, like, being hedonistic in that way, and that he can do anything he wants. Like, they have total immunity because they're part of the fraternity of supervillains.
That's what they're called.
Like, you can just... I just thought of it immediately. You can park wherever you want. Like, that is the tip of the iceberg. Pretty much you can do anything you want. Like,
yeah, the fraternity is able to cover up any crime they do. Pretty much unlimited power, and separated by continent are the 5 families. So it's like there's the one that
the scientist
that
guy
Wesley works for.
Yeah.
Is Professor
Solomon Seltzer.
Seltzer.
Yes, Seltzer.
Solomon Seltzer.
Named after a drink. It's fine.
He gets
Really?
North America and South America.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I'm one of... Yeah, okay.
And then
That makes
there's,
sense.
like, the Emperor gets Asia.
Ooh, yeah, that's
And then
the early 2000s comic.
Adam 1 gets all of Africa. Then this Nazi guy gets Europe. And then Rictus, just like a deformed dude who was like used to be a super Christian and then like had a near-death experience. He was like, wow, I don't care if I do anything. Like, got Australia. That is such a weird little like backstory for why he became a supervillain.
Well,
yeah,
he got
just
like
died on the table. Yeah, he got deformed, had a surgery to save his life, died during the died during the surgery, like some people do, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
And then didn't see God or heaven while he was dead. And they figured, oh, so nothing, like,
Fake.
I've dedicated my life, it doesn't matter. Guess I'll become a supervillain.
I mean, hey, when you're doing it for yourself, that makes sense.
It's just so funny to be like, I died for a second there. So that's like fully dying, right? So it's all fake. He just had it in him, I guess, to become a supervillain.
So yeah, the story is just until like issue 3 or 4. It's just like Wesley is the name of the main character, I should specify. Is just like doing all the bad things that he can for no reason other than like weird male rage, I guess. Like
Or
being
male,
like, oh, this
male power fantasy.
society.
Yeah.
And just like for nothing.
He's very indiscriminate, right? Like he's like, I killed all these people who like wronged me in school. Like the guy who spilled his fountain pen on my sweater, and the guy who was like a bully to me, and the girl who said no. I was like, those are not equal.
No.
You spilled a drink slightly on someone one day, and he is never forgotten.
You know what they say? The best revenge is a successful life. He should have done that.
I think he considers his life
he is successful
right?
now. He is just a successful murderer.
He's doing what he loves. Just had it in him.
And then Rictus, because he wants to go public and show everybody like, hey, we're villains. We took over the world. we shouldn't have to stay in the shadows anymore.
So instead of being like a secret cabal, be a non-secret cabal.
Adam 1 and Seltzer and the Emperor are like, no, this has been working. If we make ourselves like publicly known, everybody in the multiverse where there are still heroes are going to notice, and that's going to suck. Like we already won. We don't have to go any farther.
Right.
Do you remember them going to like the alternate planet to fight superheroes to get the radioactive condom?
Dumb radioactive condom, which I guess is like a kryptonite condom for not Superman. But it's fine. So they take a vote. They say, no, we're going to stay in the shadows. And then he's not a doctor. He's just Mr. Rictus. Mr. Rictus. This is when he decides he's going to set off the coup. He kills Seltzer, betrays, starts to hunt down all the people in Seltzer's organization, which includes Wesley and Fox and some various other heroes. Not heroes, the opposite villains.
I think we forgot to mention, so we like briefly mentioned Fox, but we didn't say the fact that she was like with Wesley's father for a while. And was maybe supposed to inherit his money. And so people are suspecting her of killing Wesley's father, the greatest assassin ever, because of that. But it's okay, because Wesley's hanging out with her now and being more than friends, but not emotionally, I guess.
I guess, yeah, that's something. Nobody knows who killed the original killer. There are various suspects. Some think it might have been Rictus because apparently he was killing kids, and that was just too far for a man named the Killer.
Yeah.
Some thought it was, being a hitman, he probably got enemies. So, no, who knows? Could be anybody.
The story behind that specifically is that the killer was in Mr. Rictus's family, and he left that family for Seltzer's, and that kind of let some bad blood. And the reason why he left was because he was killing children.
Yeah, and he waited 15 odd years to take his revenge. But whatever. So then they're in the process of hunting down Wesley and the Fox. Obviously, they don't kill him. They go on their own reverse spree to kill everybody. They do. And then it turns out, Wesley's dad didn't die.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I guess, okay, I know the reason,
what?
but it's a dumb reason. Reason being, Wesley's dad is feeling himself age, and he's not as good as he used to be, but he can't stand the idea of dying to somebody who isn't as good as him. And the only person who could possibly be as good as he is his son. So I guess he convinced the Fox
to train
to help
his
him,
son for 3 months.
to help train his son to become a super killer, so he can just shoot him in the back of the head, like it's the end of Mice and Men.
Oh.
And then it's so dumb. I'm sorry. It's so dumb.
Jake can no longer contain himself.
Okay, wait. They have a fake twist at the end. Fake twist. Fake out.
Yes.
Where it's like, okay, Wesley, you did that. You get all your father's money now. Let's go back in the helicopter and ride off into the sunset or whatever. And
well,
Wesley's
no, first
like,
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to say that? What he ended up saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like, so. Yeah, Wesley's like, no, like my father talked about, he realized I was raised to be a dumb pacifist because my dad left my mom when I was little. And my dad always regretted that, how, like, watching me from afar as a little kid, I got punched by another kid. I didn't fight back. How embarrassing. No wonder I grew up to be such a sucky guy as an adult. He's like, I gotta go back to be with my girlfriend. Maybe I'll go back to my old job. she may have, my girlfriend may have been constantly cheating on me, but she was still my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then Fox is like, I get it, you're joking, right? Wes is like, yeah, got you for a moment there. I want all the money, and I want to be with you. I get the girl. It's like, weird.
Despite, still carrying a torch for your dad.
Well,
I mean, not anymore. Because dad's dead.
It's been dead for 10
but you
seconds.
still carry a torch.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nepotism. Like,
That's
not the word.
At all.
When you date your dad's...
Your father's gone, so I guess I'll go,
When you date your dad's long-term girlfriend, that's nepotism, baby. Alright.
I thought you were actually asking me, and I was gonna have a very strong reaction. But
just using your words.
So what he was saying at that time was like, well, why are we doing this anymore? Like, there's no reason to do this. Like, I'm not enjoying this anymore.
Well, he talked about, he had that little mini breakdown earlier. I mean, you could call it a breakdown, where he was like, hey, I slaughtered an entire police force. And, I kind of felt bad, at one point. What was the point of it? Am I just being, mean for no reason? I don't know, these people kind of don't deserve it. And she's like, you don't have to do that, but we just want you to show you that there's choices in your life. You can do anything you want, and we'll enable it. I was like, that's not the lesson we need to learn.
But, so then, on the surface,
So then at the end, right, his thing was, well, I don't want to end up doing the same things my dad did. See how that messed up me.
Yeah.
I'm just spreading the problem or something.
Yeah.
And then he was like, psych. Don't care. Give me the $50 million trillion, please. Mm-hmm. The end.
I want a bunch of money. I get a head at the table and then launch into some weird, what's the term? Talking to the audience.
I mean, it's it's a monologue, but...
Monologue,
yeah.
Okay.
Talking to the audience, oh, yeah, you read this story, and you think it's a story, but it's... Because that's the other thing that they try to do in this, is oh, yeah, we brainwashed all the old superheroes so that they think they were actors. And so that will explain, the half-remembered memories they have.
And all the,
remembering the TV shows, or making the movies, or the comics.
Yeah.
And the entire world doesn't remember that they're real.
Mm-hmm.
Or know that supervillains still exist. Or, even existed ever. Because we rewrote the fabric or whatever.
They try to do that. It's and so this comic book was one of those. And so you're going to forget about it, and this gave you 15 minutes of enjoyment.
You're as pathetic as I was at the beginning of the story. Not living
your
for
life
yourself.
Sucks.
Yeah, he's like, this is 15 minutes of enjoyment out of your miserable life.
The last
and now you're just gonna go and buy another one.
Just
the last page is me giving it to you. So Wesley says.
Yeah.
I was like, my gosh.
Did we not mention this comic came out in 2003?
I think I mentioned it.
Yeah, we did.
That's why the main character looks like Eminem.
Yes.
Yeah, in case...
Also because that's who Mark Millar wanted to play Wesley.
Eminem.
Went in front of Hollywood. He wanted Eminem.
Huh.
He's real subtle about it.
Huh.
I guess that used to be a thing, where if you wanted a specific actor to play your comic character, you just drew that comic character.
What are you talking about? People still do that.
When did Punisher
Yeah,
and
people
Eminem
do still
come
do
out?
that, but... Huh?
When was Punisher and Eminem?
Later, after this.
Oh, okay.
Before 2008, I'm going to say.
Gotcha.
I'm going to look that up quickly.
Gotcha.
But that's basically the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly about nothing except how good it is to be mad at the world, but actually be able to act on it. And then if you're good enough at murder, you too can join the weird supervillain Illuminati.
Is that the message?
What else is the message?
I mean, there's no message, is my
The
thing.
message is take control of your life and be horrible to everyone for no reason.
You know,
With no
I could
limits.
take control of your life. I can see. No, that's a bit of a stretch.
I mean, that's how all manipulative statements start with something that you're like, yeah, I agree with that. And then they're like, and also this, you should kill and murder and
Yeah.
slaughter indiscriminately.
That's fair.
And you're like, wait, what? They're like, take control of your life. That's what I said.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to point out that there's a lot of similarities between this comic and the last comic, Rogue Sun. And one of these similarities is that both the fathers assess their sons the same way. Of you're a sissy because you were raised by your mother. And so, I
feel like that's just a staple of comics at this point.
I mean, not I don't think comics.
But people
exclusively. I mean,
people keep pulling it. Yeah.
yeah. But no, hey, even
Darth Vader had to do
Shaft
that?
did back in 2019. Shaft.
No,
did
he
that.
thought his kids were dead.
No.
Darth Vader?
Wait, what? Say it again.
We're talking about two separate things.
Oh, okay.
Shawanta asked if Darth Vader was judging his
Oh.
kids. Darth Vader thought his kids were dead.
Okay. Yes, we are talking about two different things.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Talon.
This comic book is just...
This comic is bad. Don't. Okay, just watch the movie. The movie is way better than this.
the movie about
it's
something
rare I say
entirely
that.
different.
You know-
It's so much better.
You
And,
know,
like,
Jake, so you know another Mark Millar story is The Ultimates. And they made an animated movie
yes.
based on The Ultimates. The animated movie is also better.
Mark Millar did this story twice, where like villains take over the world. He did it in this, and then in Old Man Logan,
Oh, really?
and then he did it kind of again in Jupiter Ascending.
True.
Well, as his the back page of him talking about his brother lying to him that superheroes used to exist and were all destroyed, he's been a little bit obsessed with it for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like 45 years at this point.
All right, so
what do we like about this book?
You know,
I can start. Yeah.
why don't you? Maybe that'll jog our memory.
Yeah. So I like the very basic premise of this book, which is that supervillains take over the world and people don't know it, right? Like that to me, you could do something good with that. So
Okay, yes, I will agree. Like the barest bones of the concept do have some merit. You know, like there are different like alternate Earths where there are like, oh, here's like an evil version of the Justice League, or like an evil version of the Avengers, and those are kind of cool concepts. And this could have been an interesting concept with like legally distinct versions of those heroes. That could be interesting. It's not that though.
yeah,
I forgot Mark Millar did Prodigy.
really.
I'm not sure I'm familiar.
We read that one for the show. It's the one where the dude is just too smart for his own good.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I feel like I'm beginning to sense a pattern.
Ooh,
He's just
man,
so
he
good
likes.
at everything.
What if your main
Wait.
character was just the best?
Are you trying to say that Mark Millar is the best?
No. No.
Okay, actually, I
No.
want to. So, did
He
you guys
re-
read the introduction by Brian K. Vaughan? I think his name is Brian. Or
I did.
Skipped
Yeah.
it.
so
And it was pretty,
it was interesting.
toot your own horn
Yeah.
about how great comics were back in the early 2000s.
But it's interesting what he said, and I mean, I'll premise this. I don't know Mark Millar, so all I got is Brian K. Vaughan's word. But Brian K. Vaughan is like, he's the best. Like, He's just a good dude.
He's a super nice guy.
Yeah. He's a super nice guy. And guess what? Super nice people make horrible stuff like this.
I mean, yeah, that tracks. Like, he was saying, like, people who have, like, really nice outlook in general usually create darker worlds. Which, is fairly common. That's not, like, an original Brian K. Vaughan thought.
Yeah, people always try to say that.
I don't know. The part that got me was where Brian K. Vaughan says, if you don't get what the message of this last page was trying to tell you didn't get the point of the comic. And I'm like, he's so far.
I get it, but it's dumb.
Like, he's so far sniffing his own farts that, like, he doesn't even, like, get it anymore. He's lost all connection.
Wow.
I just remembered Mark Millar wrote, like, one of the most triggering comics I've ever seen. The Unfunnies, which I will strongly never, ever read it. I'm not joking. Like, you thought this was, like, a lot of, like, being edgy.
Really?
So, there's a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we need to talk about more of what we liked. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll say it wasn't boring. Like, it
You know
felt...
what?
Yeah.
It did elicit a strong emotions. I will give you that.
Yeah, I guess even though not a lot happens, it did technically, like, engage me.
They fit a lot in, like, the first 50 pages, because I was like, I've only read 50 pages. Oh, God. Like, that's when he's, like, gone through his whole transformation to joining fully. I was like, okay, well, there's a steady pace. After that, kind of like you were saying, not much really happens other than the big betrayal.
Mm-hmm. True.
Man, just fitting in every single speech bubble they ever could.
There was a lot.
They just constantly talked,
Huh, okay.
Did you forget that they had that part where they lowered Batman and Robin into a octopus pool?
Oh,
I remember,
yeah.
I guess I don't remember the speech bubbles being like, wow, that's a lot.
Well, every single page, I felt like I was reading a billion things them saying. And they'd always throw in some edgy remark.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah, I can believe that.
I feel like I can tell what kind of person would like this. Like, that's the thing. I don't think this is good, but I do feel like that's for a specific audience.
Yes.
I can feel it.
There is a particular audience
who will think this is the coolest thing ever.
I don't know who those people are, but okay.
Middle school boys.
Oh, okay.
Mark Millar when he thought of this story.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Where it's like, oh man, girls suck. It's like ask a 14-year-old who's just gone through their first breakup to design a story, and this is basically what you get.
I see.
It's like, it's my fault for letting her cheat on me constantly and walk all over me. I was like, she just sounds like she sucks.
It's like, God, there's got to be some way I can blame my mom for this.
That's true, that part too.
Well, I mean, does he do that before or after he gets initiated?
Well, no. First he blames his girlfriend for everything. And then once he goes into the fraternity, he's like, actually, I thought it was all my girlfriend's fault. It's actually all my mom's fault.
And I realized, like, I always thought, he's like, I always tried to talk up my dad, and I knew deep down that he was probably some ordinary, boring person, like, more boring than everybody else's dad. He goes, but secretly he was actually the coolest. Oh! Like, fist bump myself. Yeah, I definitely can feel the type of person who's like, yeah, I want my dad to be super awesome, cool. Secretly.
Gotcha.
So it feels, I gotta say, he feels pretty consistent character-wise.
Yeah, the characters are, like we say often, like they're pretty strong individually. Like they have traits, and as far from a design standpoint, I could probably pull most of them out of a lineup and say, that's the fox, and that's the killer, and that's a couple names I can't use because,
Swear
man, phew.
Yeah.
How edgy is your comic if, the names of your characters aren't slurs?
Oh, yeah. Kind of dull. Dull edges.
It's not edgy enough if you can't name the character on network television.
If you can cut your finger off on it, it's edgy enough.
That's when you know.
Mm-hmm.
Do we even need a section about what we didn't like? Because it's so mixed in.
Yeah. I will say, like, okay. Well, first, before we do that, do we have anything more we did like about the comic? Actually, I will say this. I appreciated the references to other characters. I will say that. To like the
Why?
Marvel.
Were you
and
happy
DC comics.
that they were included?
All it's saying is
yeah.
how much not Batman sucks,
Well,
or
yeah.
not Superman sucks.
Yeah,
I mean, the
but
concept,
they're still there.
like you were saying, the concept of them, like, aging, of, like, I think it was Superman or something, just, like, sitting in a wheelchair in, like, a care home, like, staring off into the distance. I was like, that's very striking imagery. And it elicits emotion in me. They don't do anything with that. But they're like, think about them. They suck. We're great. We're supervillains. Like, I guess that they could have gone, like, the really, I don't know. They could have been a lot less edgy with the supervillains. And I'll admit, I probably think they would be less interesting. Like, if you're gonna do supervillains, you might as well kind of lean into it. I don't mean lean into it this way, but
Yeah,
like it's a very what's the word? Like, it's a very negative worldview. It's like, yeah, if you want to solve your problems, like, just murder your way out of them, or like violence your way through them.
Yeah.
Where like this could have taken a lot more like optimistic, because like they don't like make the world better at the end of this comic.
Nope.
Like it's a very nihilistic like worldview coming out of this, where it's like, yeah, the villains won, and the only way you're ever gonna get out of it is if you become one of the villains.
Mm-hmm.
the only way you'll truly be free.
Yeah.
And like there's probably a better version of this comic, even though it's more generic, where it's like, he still murders them, but like doesn't go back to his old life, but also doesn't just become one of the people who are ruining the world.
Mm-hmm.
That was the really interesting thing about, like, I think my favorite part was probably, like, the dad talking. At least, I don't agree with how he saw things, but I thought it was really interesting where he was like, watching my son be corrupted by single mother influence, and like how he was like, I had to step away, all the things that like we had in common, your mother and I, became the things that like she wanted to stop or something. I don't know,
right?
Because they had like
all
a
the things
club.
that attracted her to him.
And there is a part of him that's like almost regretful of what they did, where it's like, man, like the colors of the world used to be brighter,
and they did that
and
little
the food tasted better,
comic
and
thing.
it's like they used to live in like a golden age-ish comic book, and then they kind of decided it's like, well, yeah, but we could make more money if we killed them all or sent them, like, brainwashed them or what have you. And it's like, maybe there's a way, like, if you make him like way more regretful, and it's like, yeah, this was actually a huge mistake, and now everybody's involved is dead, so we can't go back, but at least there's that.
It's
like, that might be better.
One point of the comic where I feel like it's almost reaching like an interesting conclusion or action they're gonna do, and then they're just like, well, kill me.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, that is one thing I do like. It's like the first 10 pages where I'm like, okay, this is actually like a deconstruction of like the disenfranchisement people feel when they're just working some dumb office job and they don't feel like they're fulfilling their potential. And this is just like how like modern society is designed to like grind people down into cogs in the machine. Like that's a kind of generic early 2000s motivation for something, but at least like that's a message where it's like break out, be an individual. But that's also not what this comic is.
But then he just becomes his dad.
Right.
It's not even that. Yeah, so there's a bunch of little times where I can feel something there. Like, almost coming together and being coherent in an interesting way. But it kind of kicks it for, like, cheap thrills. God. This comic is so meta.
Yeah.
Meta human. Yep.
No, just leave that be.
Okay. Do we want to get into more of what we didn't like about it?
Yeah. All right. So it took me 3 different series by Mark Millar to get the point, but I think that he and I have very different understandings of what a superhero comic or comic in general should be. Because to me, I like to your point, Jake, of having a very negative worldview. This comic seemed very much to me like this is how life is, and that's nothing we could do to change it. There's no point at which the characters are like, you know what, we can make different choices, we can make the world better. They're just like, nope, world screwed up, and we're done.
That's the thing, right? Like they're always like, we're doing this so that you can understand, you can take control of your life. You make the decisions. It's like, why is your decision always being mean and horrible to other people?
Right. And like every single Mark Millar story is like, well, okay, that we've read so far is.
We'll say, like, we haven't read it for the show, but Old Man Logan is technically slightly different than that.
Okay.
But not by much.
Gotcha. Okay. But, like, so all of that is just, I forgot what I was going to say, actually.
But no, you're saying you don't mesh with it. You're like, I think I've realized it. Mark Millar, not for me.
Yeah. And to me, like, how I would see it, the stories that really mean a lot to me are stories that say to the audience, hey, like there's something we can aspire to, right? There's like, we can in fact make a difference in the world, right? Or to me, it's like, I think of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Like that's a really good, like, hey, we can aspire to more. We can actually aspire to be heroes in our day-to-day lives, right? But I mean, maybe not necessarily day-to-day lives, but like we can aspire to be heroes. You know, I think of particularly Spider-Man 2, Aunt May's speech to Peter Parker, you know, giving up our dreams to be like being a hero. People are attracted to them, line up for them, like all that. Or Spider-Man 3, where it's like we can always choose to do what's right. My friend Harry taught me that, and he chose to be the best of himself, like that kind of thing. Or Captain America Winter Soldier, where it's like the cost of freedom is high. It always has been, but I don't believe it's a price. It's a price I'm going to pay, but I don't think I'm the only one. Like, or even Smallville, too, was like, we could aspire to be more. Huh?
I'm sorry, but how many are we going to do?
That's good. That's it. Yeah. I had to say all of them. But, I mean, and I gotta say, like, if you read the Bible, God is saying we can aspire to be more than what our culture is saying. And so, to me, it's like, to just be in that mindset is like the thing that gets under my skin the most. Is like,
yeah, no, Mark Millar just comes into this conversation, it's just like, no, hope is dumb, nothing gets any better.
Yep.
Like, it's just... He has done it like a couple different times. It does get old after a while. But I don't think, even without that extra context, even just to this, like, it's also dumb in this. Like, I thought there was going to be like another shoe where it's like, there's like some underground network of superheroes who are like fighting against them. And it's just like, no, they just like control the whole world, which I guess is like vaguely realistic because corporations like ruin the whole world. But like,
Right.
what's the point of that in your fiction?
Yeah. No, it's
That's the thing, right? Like, you always want a character arc. And
right.
I'm okay with, like, Mark Millar, like, the beginning parts, like we were talking about, where he's like, things suck. Like, this is, like, a real life that people have to deal with a lot of times, and real emotions that they may feel. Like, just because they don't know how to deal with those emotions. They don't know how to, like, cope healthily. But that's it. Then it just stops. It goes, sucks.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck more. Like, unless you're the bestest, bravest superhero, supervillain ever made and, like, really good at killing, then things are gonna be great. or Prodigy, where, like, unless you're the smartest ever to existed, then just solve everything.
Interesting.
Because that's the thing, right? Like, I don't want to talk about Prodigy too much, but, like, I keep thinking about how Prodigy is so much of a, like, wish fulfillment. He, like, solves everything perfectly all the time. But that's it. It's nothing that feels like you're able to connect with, really. Just remember when he talked the dude out of detonating the bomb because he's like, you have trauma. And I can see that in you.
I guess, yeah, it's interesting, the evolution of like a Mark Millar main character, where in 2003 it's like, the world is going to suck. The world sucks, it's going to continue to suck because my main character is just the best at killing, and he's going to be the reason why it sucks for a bunch of people. And then the same thing, but the world is better somehow for Prodigy.
Because
he's just so good at solving all the problems. Even
so
though there
hollow.
continue to be problems all the time.
When did Prodigy come out?
Pretty recently. It's like 2018 or 2014. I can't remember.
Okay. Gotcha.
Gets farther and farther away.
Yeah. The thing.
What a disappointing ending. That's
Prodigy
Psych
did?
Out.
Like for this or for Prodigy?
I mean, both of them. Didn't like either of them. Prodigy was funny.
I don't know.
It was
This
so
one
bad.
is. This ending is worse. This
Yes.
is like.
Because
I
it
don't want to
almost
get
like
too outside the comic, but like I feel like this is one of the worst like endings I've encountered in a long time.
See, I feel like that's almost. Did you have like a betrayal, like you thought it was gonna be a better ending? Because I didn't expect a better ending, so I got into this and was like, yeah, okay.
You know, that's a good question. I don't know what I expected.
I didn't
but
expect
it was better than. It was better than this.
The comic
kind
of spits on us at the end, I should say. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I get for reading this all the way through.
It's like, I guess I did waste my time, Mark, but you got my money, so I guess that's...
Yep.
I guess that'll show me.
I think I got about halfway, or maybe it's actually to the 50-page mark, something like that. And I felt like I was being punched left and right, and I was just like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm just going to finish this. And I finished it in like an hour and a half, and I was like, thank God.
Total numbness.
I was like, I did not want to spend any more time reading this than I had to.
It really just tries to get in your face, right, with how edgy it is.
Such was the early 2000s way.
It's just
I guess.
Yeah, it's the definition of being like how crazy can we make these characters seem with every dialogue piece. Like, it comes out, Seltzer likes to sleep with 18-year-olds. It's like...
younger than that.
Well, it's in the back, it says 18-year-olds.
Oh, okay. I guess it's implied to be younger than that.
Yeah.
I guess it's on me.
It's on you for reading the comic properly.
I did not get that at all, but...
That's the thing, right? Like, every single dialogue piece that we, like, find out about these characters, it's like, they're even worse than you thought. And I was like, I don't want to read that.
Are you talking about, like, the 20 extra pages of, like, art or descriptions, like, after the comic?
I read those after the comic. I'm talking about the comic itself. Like, at no point did I feel compelled to learn more about the characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of the whole thing, like you're saying, Taylor, didn't want to continue really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I got to the end, and then like in my edition they had 20 pages of like extra, like here's how we drew this character.
Yeah, I read some of those because they describe some of the characters, and so their descriptions do feel a little bit like sanitized versions of what the comic was trying to feed me.
Really?
Yes.
I was like, I can't believe you have 20 pages of stuff. It's like,
I was glad it wasn't 20 more pages of comic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's always a good sign when you get to the end. You're like, yes, it's over.
I climbed Mount Olympus.
This mountain sucks. More like The View.
No, The View?
Man.
The TV show?
A physical view.
Oh, yeah.
Off of a mountain.
Oh, The View sucks. Oh, wow, okay.
Okay.
Goodness gracious.
Oh, man, I love
You're
how
like,
that
the mountain
flipped.
looks interesting. And then you go up the mountain and you regret it. I don't know, that's the thing. That's weird. I feel like I'm having like less of an intense reaction to it as you guys. Because I was just like, yeah, I don't think I had high expectations once I realized like how edgy and dumb and like shocking they were trying to make it. Maybe I just went numb.
I guess, yeah, the extra layer of context, like, all I heard about the comic in comparison to the adaptation was, man, they cut so much out, it's not even the same, you should really check out the book. And I'm like, I heard that, I'm like, okay, it sounds like they cut out
Could have been
lot,
better.
a lot of
so
things.
you were expecting, like, I like the movie, this book is going to be better because they cut out important stuff.
Like, yeah, they didn't say they cut out a bunch and it was better for it. They just said they cut out a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Misleading.
Like, maybe that's why, like, this is like 10, 15 years of like, you should really check it out. They cut out so much. You know, it's not even the same story. I assumed that meant it would be better.
Right.
Not like, and maybe it's just because I wasn't a middle school boy when I read it, so maybe that's what I'm missing.
That's the thing. When's the last time you watched the movie? Would you still like it?
At least like 8 years ago.
Same. But,
oh man.
But I feel like, for some reason, I don't remember watching the movie. I remember feeling like I liked the movie. Like, it was an alright movie.
It's got James McAvoy and Angelina Jolie and Morgan Freeman and
I didn't know it existed.
Common's
in
that.
it. It's better than this. I can, even not having watched it in almost a decade, I can guarantee it's better than this.
Do you think you would have liked this comic when you were that age?
No.
If I read this when I was like 14, I probably would have projected like an extra layer of like, oh, this is so complex. It's so morally gray. Oh, there are no heroes in real life. It's so realistic. Like, I would have projected that onto it and then read it 5 years later and been like, oh, I was a dumb 14-year-old.
I probably wouldn't have gotten past page 1. I'd have been like, ooh, that's a no-no.
Let's get that out of here.
I did that with Shonen Jump. I don't know. I probably still would have read it to a certain point. Yeah. He's just not a nice guy, and I don't like him. And the fact that he feels a little bit bad for a moment there, and they never do anything with that, boring. Embarrassing. He is pathetic.
I guess, okay, you could say this is just like a product of now we are like post dark and gritty reimaginings, like everybody's tired of it. Nobody wants to see more of that. And this did come out before that, when things were allegedly better in the early 2000s.
Even the book seems to acknowledge that we went towards gritty realism. It's so weird.
And like, you could probably make an argument for that, but like, I don't know. Even a couple of years after this would have come out, like, I feel like people would have been pretty over that.
See, my thing is, like, again, it's like two different worldviews. Like, I don't think there would ever be a point where I'd have been like, oh, this is an enjoyable comic book. Because, like, we just live very different lives. Like, even, like, reading Wesley's story and just, like, how he's, like, I can't relate to Wesley at all.
Wesley being like, oh, my boss, I let that African-American woman push me around.
Really stuck on that.
I read that and I was like, ooh.
It's like,
ooh, I don't...
There? Is there
I don't know how I
another
feel
word
about that.
you want to use? Wesley? No, the fact that they bring that up later, they won't let that go. Like, everybody agrees with him, like, can't believe you let her push you around. And she's like, Wesley, stop looking at stupid things on your computer.
I mean to be fair, she does. The way that she's portrayed, she does seem like a terrible person. I will give you that.
Oh, she's a bad boss.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much of it has to do with her being African American.
Yes.
But that's the thing, right? The comics, like, says people are horrible, then validates it. Yeah. Just an endless cycle of, like, God, everybody sucks. I don't care about any of these characters. Like, that's the thing. I think, like, if I had been younger, I still wouldn't have liked this, because they didn't have any interesting characters. The characters are just kind of mean and horrible for being mean and horrible. Not even, like, fun, weird reasons. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Think about
absolutely.
the, like, fecal guy.
That's a good word.
I don't know. That was, I did enjoy the gimmick where it's 666 pounds
Of
from
the worst
the
people.
most evil people in the world.
Oh.
Like
That's it.
that's dumb, but like that's the right kind of comic dumb.
That's what I mean, where I was like, okay, like, there could have been more there. Just like the most, it wasn't a boring comic, but I do think it was one of the most boring executions of this kind of premise. I don't care about Fox. She's like, all I care about is guys below the waist. And she's just, she's the girl. The fact that he's like, I got the girl. And I was like, that? Her?
Right.
That's the one you want?
I mean, for
Is there
Wesley,
any other
what were
female
his
characters?
options?
I mean, I guess, but this book only has like 3 characters in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not...
Again, like, to me, I'm just going to harp on this again. It's like, just this such a negative viewpoint. I don't like it. Like, I want more positive, like, you know, I'm going to use the term send out positive vibes into the world.
I can read a negative comic if it's, like, got interesting horribleness. It's just so dull, though.
Yeah, just...
I don't know, man. Just be the Joker.
Society.
That's the funniest thing as possible.
Oh, man, yeah.
I feel like they tried to pull a Joker moment for a while there.
How so?
Oh, the doll guy, too. I forgot about him.
The
Oh,
Doll
man.
Master?
In a better comic, he could have been really interesting.
That's the thing, where he's, like, the most, like, 3-page interesting character, like, trying to do something.
Yeah.
They just kill him. That's literally it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for pretty much no reason.
He's like calling
most of the
Wesley.
murderers.
Well, I
right?
mean, to be fair, he's part of the family, so, like, they have to kill him.
I'm talking about writing-wise, though. Like, having a character, like, calling the main character, like, really important that I get across, and they're like, kill him. And then they kill him. And that's it.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, because there's no real stakes, right? His dad's alive. Who cares?
I didn't get the sense, like, any of the villains would have that much loyalty to their, like, boss villain that they would care very much that Professor Seltzer died. At least I didn't get that impression.
I felt
like, you might have a couple diehards, but, like...
You're right.
Who cares?
I
kind of
doing, like... Seltzer, though. Like, the people in his family would be more loyal. Like, he seems to be, like, I don't know, maybe the most successful. Like, or nicest.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
they
know.
gave him 2 continents.
That's also boring for like a villain, right?
Hmm.
Like what a if you're gonna be villains, just constantly backstab each other and have some fun with it. But nah. Boring.
Yeah. I wanted to make this point earlier. Like, you know, Mr. Rictus was like, you know, we got into this business to shake things up, right? Now we're being, in a way, you know, the same criticism that was levied against our Wesley about being raised by a single mom, right?
Oh, yeah, we're losing our edge.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for certain supervillains, like they were probably feeling that too.
I mean, maybe.
But they were just
if that had been
allowed to
explored
like
more,
fight it
but-
out. But that's the thing, like they fight it out. Wesley kills them, and then
Without a
Dad
sweat.
sob story time.
Yeah.
Like there's no ramifications of like all those villains dying. It's pointless.
Mhm.
Yeah, world's
I
the
will
same.
say, I'm actually glad that I can't even think of his name. The oldest man alive survived. That was cool.
Oh, Adam 1?
Yes, yeah, Adam won.
God, yeah, that was another thing of like, man, your life's so much more interesting than ours. He's like, I gotta be with my son as he dies.
Oh
was like,
yeah,
tell me
and his
more.
son.
Like, what is it
Man,
like
what
to be that?
What a weird talent of Mark Millar to, like, in a sentence, create a character way more interesting than your main character. And do it like half a dozen times in the same book.
Funny, yeah.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting? So there's a supervillain part of the head, 5 families called the Future, and he's the guy that has a
Oh, yeah, the
swastika
weird Nazi.
tattoo on his head. So it's like, oh, the future, but the past. I got you.
Yeah, I guess. I can see that.
Yeah.
He's just hanging out with like knockoff Poison Ivy.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
missed
right. Nightshade, I think.
Really?
Because
Okay.
it's poison.
Huh. They should have gone with Hemlock. I like that better.
Yeah, that would have been.
Stealing that.
Wait, say it again?
I just said I was gonna steal that.
Oh, man, this comic, it's... If anybody listens to our recommendations, which I don't know if you should listen to us. We're not, like, educated anyway to be critics. That's bad.
Comics.
Don't read this.
Hey, what do you mean, Jake? We have like some 150, probably more comics under
Anyway.
our belt.
Well, yeah, but we're not like... I don't write for the New York Times and write book reviews.
Well, have you tried?
Like, I'm just somebody who enjoys comics. And this was one I did not enjoy. People lied to me. I want, like, that mental... Like, those memories taken back from when people were recommending this to me.
I was so innocent before I read this comic.
Okay, but like, art-wise.
Oh, yeah. I was okay with the art, but I really liked the flashbacks, where it was like the older style comic.
There was like, yeah, that's the thing. I think the art was good, but I was so distracted by how much I didn't like the story.
Yes, absolutely.
So it
Yeah,
kinda,
the
like,
art
marred
was
it.
good. I like, there was a good sense of, like, energy when characters were moving, and like the artist was able to put a lot in the frame when they were drawing, like, people hanging out or, people associating at one of their supervillain meetings. Like, they put a lot in, like, a lot of care went into this.
The supervillain meetings where they're like, oh man, these are the worst people ever. It's like a normal convention hall.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think a lot of
Yeah,
like scenes.
I like the art.
I was gonna say the scenes of like the dad, the killer. Like
Mhm.
some of his scenes, the way they like did his face, like very clearly a certain actor, but like I liked it. Like a lot of the like city scenes, like the shadows and stuff. It's really pretty, but man, yeah, just Mari.
Yeah.
Very good for that time, especially like early 2000s comics. Sometimes the bar was very low.
I need to know.
Yeah, you're.
I need to know. Do you consider Ultimate Spider-Man closer to that bar or higher?
There's too many Spider-Man comics, Taylon. You'd have to show me a picture.
All right.
Just off the top of my head, Ultimate Spider-Man and the Ultimates are probably, like, purely art, probably worse
Than this, really.
than this. But, like, as a whole,
Right.
those are way better.
Yeah.
A good story can make you, like, really like something, you know?
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Okay. I don't know what's going on here.
It's just, like, one part of me is like, I have to, like, backhandedly compliment anything from the Ultimate Universe, which is unfortunate. But it is in comparison to this,
Right.
which is just bad.
Mhm.
And, like, I'm running out of ways to say that it's bad.
Yeah. It's muy malo. Malevolent. Dang, I ran out of...
I don't know what you're saying, but okay. Okay, so you wouldn't read more?
I don't think there's more Wanted out there. I don't think. I could be wrong on that. I hope I'm not.
You said there was like maybe offshoots or something?
Maybe. I mean, you know, it's been around for like 20 odd years. There could be like a In the World of Wanted or something.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even fulfill the like title of this comic. Where they're like, they're gonna be wanted. You remember when they're like,
right.
Oh, they're no longer part of the fraternity. They're gonna be hunted by every single person, and it didn't matter.
Well, okay, yeah, no, they did do that. They just did it for like an issue, and it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. That okay, that legitimately upsets me a lot.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, if your whole title is a thing, and then you do that thing for
5 pages.
Probably less than, definitely less than a whole issue. Like, it's probably pretty bad.
So, are you talking about, like, there was, like, a little intro for the book right before they listed the creatives for it? Because basically...
I'm just talking about the title idea in general, and, like, I think how the back of the book describes it, possibly. It's, like, ends up being wanted by everybody in the world, no longer under the protection of the fraternity. And, like, Rictus is like, they'll never be able to survive without our protection. And they do fine.
Absolutely, yeah.
They have no problems.
Almost no problem.
Every single supervillain. Well, most of them.
They don't sprain their ankle. They don't fall off a building. No problems. Doing fine. Perfect people.
So
except in morals.
I was going to bring up, they had a little blurb before they listed all the creatives. And they were basically saying, like, you know, what happens when you go from, like, a boring life to being wanted, right? Like that. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's kind of how it.
Yeah, I probably read that too.
Mm-hmm. But to me,
Didn't
I'm like,
fulfill that.
Wanted has a different connotation in my mind than what this comic posed.
You're
and
right.
so
Everybody
like,
should have been throwing themselves at him.
Right. It's like
Talon, you're like, this is gonna be great.
well, I was like, you know, okay, all right, I'm okay with where you're going so far. And then page 1, no, I wanted to stop reading.
And then page 2, no, and then it just kept going.
Yeah.
Okay, so no more for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you in general, you sound like you're like realizing that Mark Millar in general might not be for you.
Yeah.
What a great comic to have like changed your mind.
Right? It only took three of them.
Yeah, the more I read about Mark Millar, the more I don't want to go back to Old Man Logan. So it's the only thing I think I liked from him.
Hey, I've never
Yeah.
read
It's
it.
oh, what if it's bad?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even strongly say this, but yeah, don't like this book.
And you would not.
No,
read
book's
more.
bad.
Would you read more Mark Millar?
What of his have we not read?
Old Man Logan.
Yeah, I want to read that.
I'm sure
I'm
there's
willing
other
to
give
stuff.
him,
There has to be
one.
other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we haven't read the Unfunnies, but don't ever read that. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I got you.
So, glowing review for Mark Millar. Go forth and spread your wings.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I would still go back to the Ultimates.
Oh yeah, he did do some of those. Yeah. That's, man. I guess technically, I'm glad he's part of the industry. I don't want him to stop making comics, because obviously he derives some sense of satisfaction from making them, because otherwise, not be making them for 20 odd years.
Did he do Kick-Ass?
Yes, he did.
Okay. I like the movies. I don't know about the comics now.
But it's
It makes sense.
I'm glad
that
he
made
exists. I guess he is a part of the industry. It shouldn't all be the same comics people make.
He
and
does seem
I
to be
can
making
say
the same one comic though.
he keeps making the same comics, but it's not like anything else people make. So at least there's that.
Fair.
It's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Same. It's important to be able to admit that to yourself.
Yeah.
It's like Fight Club if people miss the point.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Huh.
It's a no from me.
Interesting.
I don't want to read more, but we probably will. He's prolific enough. We'll probably come back to him at some point.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not as edgy as this, I'd be willing to read more of his stuff.
I don't think anything since has been. At least from
He's
him.
toned it down, you think?
Well, I mean, he
He's
did
Got out of
age,
his
I don't know.
system.
which I guess it's probably not that edgy.
I mean,
compared to this
Prodigy wasn't that edgy. It's very funny. It how bad it was.
now. So yeah, no all around. Cool. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Do you guys?
I'm just saying, I don't think any of us are gonna go to bat for this comic.
No.
And we shouldn't.
I would be interested to see what somebody who really liked it would say, but I have an idea roughly in my head what they would say.
I mean, I just feel like nothing they would say would change my mind.
Oh yeah, no.
yeah.
It wouldn't, not to persuade me. I just want to hear what they really liked about it.
Oh, I got you.
You
All
can
right.
'Cause I know
debate
what I
me,
really
but I know I'm
didn't
right.
like. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, you have been listening to the Comic Panel's really not glowing review of Wanted. I'm Taylon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And please, have a good rest of your day. Seriously. Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to this channel as it helps us out on the YouTube algorithms and getting us seen by more and more people. You can also reach out to us with any thoughts you have on the things we talk about on Twitter at TheComicPanel1 and on Instagram and Facebook at The Comic Panel. Also, if you want to leave a comment, please do. Let us continue the conversation.